Hola, te doy la más cordial bienvenida a la sesión de metal número 88. Soy Ceci Montero y te saludo con mucho gusto. Gracias por acompañarme en esta cápsula. Gracias a todas aquellas personas que han interactuado en CeciOn. Qué chido que les está gustando. Si quieres seguir conociendo no solo de metal mexicano, sino también de bandas internacionales, no dudes en seguirme. Me encuentras como @ceciondemetal en las principales redes sociales. El show también se transmite a través de Uroboric Radio y en Rock y Terror Radio Digital. Las mejores bandas de metal las encuentras en tu sesión de metal. Agradecimientos especiales a Ben de Online Metal Promo por todo el apoyo que ha brindado a este programa. Y bueno, en esta ocasión me encuentro con una banda legendaria de heavy metal clásico de Nueva York. Tuvo sus inicios en 1980, su guitarrista y vocalista es primo de Dio, pero esta vez me acompaña uno de los miembros originales de Manowar. Me refiero al productor, baterista y vocalista Canedy de la banda The Roads. Hey, welcome to Sesión de Metal.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
It's my pleasure. Carl, el guitarrista David Rock Feinstein y tú han trabajado juntos desde hace más de 40 años. ¿Cómo describirías tu relación con Dave?
That's an interesting question. By the way, I would wish I spoke better Spanish. My daughter speaks Spanish very well. The only words I know besides hola and gracias really are all bad words taught to me by Hellstar. So that's the other Spanish, so we won't go into those words. But David and I played in a band called Raw Meat, which was maybe one of the worst names, band names ever. We rehearsed in the same house with Elf, which David Feinstein belonged to, with Ronnie Dio. And so that's how I knew David. And then years later, he was playing with Joey DeMeo, and they approached me and asked me to play with them. And I think the quote was, "Do you want to keep playing with boys, or do you want to play with men?" And what's the answer to that? I want to play with men, even though that sounds a little weird, doesn't it? But I wanted to play with those guys because they're phenomenal musicians, and so that's how we started working together, and we've been working together ever since.
Wow, qué interesante. Y bueno, Freddy Villano es el miembro más reciente de The Roads y sé que han hecho otras colaboraciones juntos como en Hell Hostage. ¿Qué tal ha sido trabajar con él?
Freddie and I have done some albums together, recording wise, and we also guested with Held Hostage on a few gigs, and we clicked immediately. And you can hear it on the live album, which was the first gig we ever did with Freddie. I had recorded, and we released it live at Rose Hall. And you can hear that was our first gig. That was over a year ago now, and it's only gotten better since. And the new album, which we're almost completed, and I can't give you the name yet because the label hasn't released it, but it's a really a different thing for the rods. It's a heavier rods than we've had, and it's been fantastic working with Freddie. I mean, he's a veteran, Quiet Riot, Dee Snider's Widowmaker. Freddie has been around, and even though he's a younger guy, but he is a great bass player, and he and I work so well together that I couldn't be happier. And I know David is as well.
Por cierto, ¿qué es más divertido para ti, Carl? ¿Ser productor o músico?
You know, that's a really great question. It's two sides, because I love producing. I've loved it from very early on. Seemed to have a knack for arrangements, and of course, I'm an opinionated guy, so I always want to express my opinion, and great way to do that when you're producing, to work with somebody collaboratively. But so that side of it I love, and then of course I love playing live, and I love writing material. So it's hard to say. It's like when people ask you to choose, which is your favorite child, this one or that one. Well, it's hard to choose. You love them both. I recently, in Christmas of last year, I produced a song by a band, Adam and the Metal Hawks, and check out their Christmas song, and When It's Christmas, I believe it's called. But it was one of the most fun productions I've ever done, and the band is fantastic. So watch for Adam and the Metal Hawks. They have a new album just released. But that was one of my favorite recording sessions because they're so talented, and we collaborated, and we just worked so well together seamlessly, and did the project very quickly and with a great result. So, I love both, I guess is my answer.
Genial, y bueno, con toda la trayectoria que tienes, Carl, ¿cuál dirías que es tu mejor experiencia como músico?
There are so many. The first one was when the Rods first got a record deal, and we opened for Blue Oyster Cult, and we played in a full, I think it was 8 or 10,000 the arena, and it was my first time in an arena stage, and I got to take my drumsticks and throw them into the crowd, and it was just I was so thrilled. It was just such a great show, and the crowd went nuts for us. And of course, after that, when I threw the stick out in the audience, I got off stage, and my manager said, "Don't ever do that again. That's a lawsuit." And but that was a great moment. I think the most memorable and probably the best is Ronnie James Dio came in and sang 2 songs. He sang "Metal Will Never Die," and then he sang a song that I wrote called "The Code." And working with Ronnie in the studio, what an amazing performer. I've produced so many vocalists that are fantastic. But Ronnie was a cut above everybody by far. And David told me he was a one-take singer, and I didn't believe it because, it's almost impossible. Everybody has little pitchy things and whatever. Ronnie came in and nailed it, and the only time he redid anything was to change it. And so I love Ronnie. I think he was the best metal vocalist of all time. And I kind of grew up watching the band Elf. So watching them from the days when they did cover material to then morphing to Elf. And they were my friends, and we played same circuit. And so Ronnie coming in to do a song that I'd written was highlight of my career.
Yo también considero que Ronnie James Dio es el mejor cantante. Y bueno, estamos viendo de fondo Lower Down Low, video oficial de su álbum Brotherhoods of Metal. ¿Qué planes vienen para The Rose?
Well, we have a brand new album that's done, studio album, all new material. I think it's absolutely a great follow-up to Brotherhood of Metal. This album has, in my opinion, and every band says that, this is the best material ever, but it is, I believe, one of the best Rods albums since our debut album. I think the fans are going to be blown away by some of the material on this. It's heavy, and the material just sticks in your brain. So I'm thrilled about the new project.
No puedo esperar a escuchar ese nuevo material. Y bueno, Carl, ha sido un gran gusto haber tenido esta grandiosa charla contigo. Antes de que te vayas, ¿cómo puede la audiencia seguir a The Rhodes?
You can. First of all, thank you so much for having me on. We really appreciate it. We appreciate the support. And it was a great interview. I really enjoyed this. You can reach us on Facebook, Carl Canedy, and it's Canedy, and it is therods.com, which is a great place to start. But we are on all the platforms. Look for The Rods on Facebook, look for The Rods on Instagram, Twitter, and also, we always say this. If you're at a show, come and say hi. We're very friendly, and we love meeting people. So if you're at a live gig, don't be afraid to come up and make your presence known. Say hi.
Pues ahí lo tienen, no duden en acercarse a las redes, en escuchar el nuevo material que está por venir. Pero bueno, ha llegado el momento de despedirnos, así que agradezco que hayas escuchado esta entrevista. Te dejo toda la información en la descripción del video. Suscríbete a mi canal y sígueme en redes como @ceciondemetal para que sigas viendo a tus artistas favoritos o para que conozcas a más bandas de metal. Thank you so much, Carl.
Thank you very much.
Until next time.